A loud boom, pepper spray, fights and stabbings. A violent day at the Capitol between demonstrators and anti-protest groups. And rage on the river. Thousands hit the water during a hot day. Plus, a state of emergency. Crews working to put out a fire in Central California that's already left dozens homeless. ABC 10 News at 5 starts in 60 seconds.
ABC 10 News starts right now with breaking news.
You can hear for yourself a violent day at the state capitol, sending 8 people to the hospital. At least 2 of those injuries are life-threatening. Those clashes turned bloody and physical quickly this afternoon between members of the Traditionalist Worker Party and so-called anti-fascist. That fight started around noon today as protesters with sticks and signs turned the Capitol into complete chaos. Here's the area where the protest happened all over the Capitol grounds. Police closed the area between 10th and 15th and L and N Streets. The Capitol is still on lockdown tonight and N Street is now open. We have team coverage. Bianca Grollo dug into the 2 groups involved and why they were there in the first place. But we start with ABC 10's Frances Wang, who witnessed the violent clashes herself. Frances, police are saying no arrests have been made.
Emily, that's right. Yeah, no arrests have been made at the Capitol yet, despite people destroying property, throwing rocks at glass windows and yelling at police. The calm and quiet scene you have here now is just the complete opposite of what was happening hours ago. Police told me this morning they were expecting hundreds of counter protesters, way more than the original planned protesters, but nobody could have predicted the chaotic and bloody scene that happened here. From all over California, a mobilization of crowds who called themselves anti-Nazis, many of them covered in all black, not wanting their faces shown. Whenever someone associated with Nazis and fascists was spotted, crowds would chase them and attack. These 2 men had to be escorted by police and shielded in the Capitol. Sacramento Fire says multiple people were stabbed, 7 transported to the hospital, 2 of them with life-threatening injuries. People bleeding everywhere, many, including me, getting pepper sprayed. At one point, I saw a family of tourists taking pictures here at the Capitol like it was just a regular day. The crowds were next to them, pretty peaceful and calm, but then as soon as there was any sign of any sort of a Nazi person here, crowds would just chase them, and I was following them, trying to keep up and try to capture as much as I could, but still remain at a safe distance. Of course, a lot of the worst violence and bloodiness we couldn't show on TV, but just here today really was one of the craziest and most chaotic scenes I've ever witnessed and really have been a part of. Emily?
And Frances, I know it was almost hard to keep track of. There was so much going on. Do you have any idea what that ignition point was that really started to turn things out there?
There was one man, he was by himself, bravely I would say, and I was standing here at the corner of the Capitol, and we just saw all these crowds just start taking off, and people were throwing things at him, hitting him with bats, and that's when we started to realize that today could possibly be that violent day that happened here.
All right, Frances, thank you. Reporting for us live from the state capitol tonight, and images from today's protest are all over social media. Thousands of people tweeting, some of you sharing pictures or showing today's demonstrations of what you saw. Mayor Kevin Johnson also tweeting about what happened, saying terrible incident today at the state capitol. This, as Johnson says, he was watching the Orlando mayor give a message of tolerance and lessons learned at the United States Conference of Mayors. And let's go back out live to the Capitol tonight, where ABC 10's Bianca Grollo is learning more about the group holding the rally. Bianca?
Emily, that group you mentioned, the Traditionalist Worker Party, was the group holding that original rally. And I went on their Facebook page where they say their mission is to defend faith, family, and folk against the politicians that are running America to the ground. They also had a Facebook page where they announced this event they were going to have, and they called it the California March into the Inferno. Now, the event page suggests they knew counter-protesters were planning to show up. They call the protesters, quote, cowards, drug addicts, illegal immigrants, and criminals. And they connect them to the protesters at recent Donald Trump rallies, accusing them of, quote, brutal attacks. They continue by saying their march will go on no matter what it costs and no matter what it takes. Well, the counter-protesters had something very similar in mind. They were going to stop this rally by any means necessary.
I say it's self-defense. and it is what we have to do, because if we ignore them and allow them to just hold their recruitment rallies, they are not nonviolent. They are organizing to attack and kill us. So we have a right to self-defense. We have an obligation to that, and that is why we have to shut them down by any means necessary.
The Traditionalist Worker Party had a permit to hold a rally here at the Capitol. Now, that permit was revoked after the confrontation started. So the state may not have been aware that this was going to turn into a violent clash between the two groups, but it seems like both sides came here ready to battle. Emily?
Well, Bianca, tonight we are thankful that it is much calmer out there and appreciate your reporting. And stay with ABC 10 for continuing coverage of these protests. You can always find the latest online at abc10.com and on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Meanwhile, California remains under a state of emergency tonight. A devastating fire continues to burn in central California. This is happening near Lake Isabella. So far, it's burned nearly 37,000 acres, and the fire is only 10% contained tonight. At least 150 homes have been destroyed, and crews are facing an uphill battle there. Dry, hot conditions and very steep terrain. For those forced to evacuate, they have no idea what they will come home to.
We're wondering when it's going to get back to normal, or if we're going to be placed somewhere else, or what, kind of helpless feeling.
You feel helpless.
Yeah.
Helpless, yep. Homeless and helpless.
An elderly couple was killed in that blaze and 3 firefighters were injured. Possible human remains were found Saturday, but sheriff's deputies did not confirm if they are from a person or not. And crews are making progress on a fire near Mono Lake. US 395 still isn't fully open, but CHP is working to escort cars along that path when possible. Right now, the fire is 30% contained and is down to 758 acres. Firefighters expect that blaze to be fully contained by Thursday. And the unfortunate part here, they do believe a person started that fire. Let's go now to the Weather Center. Harry Stockman is standing by. And Harry, triple digits is now the new name of the game here.
It is for the next several days, actually. The fire danger is high, as you can obviously see from those pictures before, and how sad it is to see those people who are homeless now as a result of the fire down near Lake Isabella. The temperatures are not cooperating at all. High pressure over the far west is, well, it's giving us temperatures just like this. These are the current readings up and down the valley. 101 in Oroville, 102 in Marysville, Sacramento, 100 in Stockton, 103 in Modesto. You get the picture. It is hot, and it's going to stay that way for a while. The winds are not helping us out. They're calm up in Marysville, slight winds in Sacramento, a little bit more breezy in Stockton and Modesto, but we're not going to get a nice delta breeze to cool us off. Our temperatures are going to stay hot throughout the Southwest. Look at Las Vegas, 112 tomorrow, 109 in Phoenix, and 104 in Sacramento tomorrow, and that's just plain hot. I'm going to have to come up with another adjective. I'll be back in a few moments to give you the extended forecast.
Harry, thanks. And police, they have been busy today, not just with those protests, but also watching hundreds of people along the American River today for an event called Rage on the River. Many people are out on boats. Some are cooking up some food. So far, police say no arrests have been made. In the past, emergency crews have had to rescue people who went underwater, but that hasn't happened so far this year. One man along the Sacramento River says he's just been enjoying the day.
I bring my family out. We come out about every Sunday and Monday. And during the week, I got a couple of friends that got a couple of big boats, and we tie up and just kick back and hang out during the week after work.
Friends with boats are always good to have. Meanwhile, alcohol has been banned along the American River for the weekend. And yesterday, a very different story. It was rafting gone wild, and there was a lot more than rafting going on out there. Despite a strict ban on booze, some rafters ignored the warning. Several citations were given, and at least 4 people were arrested out there. One man police are still looking for is a self-proclaimed event organizer. Park rangers tried to arrest him, but he got away.
It appears when he realized that he may be getting a citation, he fled from rangers, and when he hit the PCA bridge, he jumped off the bridge, which is a misdemeanor offense. So we know who he is.
Rangers say there were a lot of alcohol and heat-related injuries, but the alcohol ban has helped. Back in 2013, nearly 40 people were arrested. Other top stories we're following: 3 people are dead and 4 others are recovering at the hospital after a boat capsized off Catalina Island. You can see in this photo a chopper coming in to help in the boat near some rocks there. The 15-foot fishing boat capsized on Saturday morning, and 2 men are in critical condition. The Coast Guard believes they may have been hit by a wave. Waves that morning were reported to be between 4 and 6 feet. And 2 hikers are safe thanks to search and rescue crews in Nevada County. Officials posted these photos to Facebook. They say the 2 women were out hiking near Paradise Lake off the Pacific Coast Trail, and they got separated when they lost the trail. And one of them actually left her backpack with the other. After about 2 hours, they ended up finding each other and camped until crews found them. And today is a special one for the LGBT community, how they are celebrating across our country and honoring the victims from the Orlando nightclub shooting. And opening new channels, a major change at the Panama Canal that's been nearly a decade in the making. In Your Voice, Your Vote, a big shakeup in the race for the White House. Hillary Clinton showing strong new numbers as Trump's support appears to be slipping. A new ABC News Washington Post poll shows Clinton leading Trump by 12 points, 51 to 39, in the biggest gap so far. While Clinton was all smiles at the Pride Parade in the Big Apple, Trump spent time in Scotland promoting his golf course, but taking hits about his campaign.
Would a Muslim coming from Scotland or Great Britain, does that have you tweaked your policy on that? I
think we're going to see what happens. It's very early in the game.
Trump's ban on Muslim immigrants is proving costly. 2/3 of Americans say he is biased against women, minorities, and Muslims. Meanwhile, 64% say he's not qualified to be president. And among California voters, the latest field poll released earlier this month shows Clinton with a 19-point lead over Donald Trump, 53 to 34% there. And the poll came out 5 days before our June 7th primary. And this week, huge celebrations across the country as LGBT Pride Month winds down. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez shows us how marchers paid tribute to the victims of this month's Orlando nightclub shooting.
Pride on parade across the country. In New York City, amidst the radiant rainbow flags, thousands of dark uniforms, heightened security for what will likely be the largest crowd ever at the annual event. A unified response following the tragedy exactly 2 weeks ago at Pulse nightclub in Orlando.
Even though it's so far away, we are all one community.
The crowd chanting "One Pulse" in honor of the victims. Then the only silence in a vibrant sea of celebration. 49 marchers shrouded in white veils, each wearing a photo of one of the victims. Similar somber scenes repeated from city to city, coast to coast this weekend.
I think Orlando's going to be the second most popular word compared to Pride.
In New York, the owner of Pulse leading the parade. That's the capstone of this month, celebrating the LGBT community. The message of love and acceptance reverberating around the world. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, New York.
Around the world now, in Scotland, at least 11 people, including 9 children, were hurt when a roller coaster derailed. The BBC reports the ride came off its track and fell about 65 feet. The park was evacuated and shut down. And according to the amusement park's website, that ride is Scotland's only inverted coaster and hits speeds of 40 miles an hour. And turning to the latest now on the impact of Brexit, many in Britain are wondering what's the future of their country. The European Union wants a quickie divorce, but Britain still wants to think things over. On Thursday, Britons voted 52 to 48 in favor of leaving the EU. It comes as a petition began circulating online calling for a second referendum. It now has more than 3 million signatures. And now British Parliament will have to consider it for debate, but many say it's already been voted on and it's time to move on.
They can't stop it. You know, the people have voted, not the government, so that's what people want. They should get on with it. You know, they get voted in, they get voted out. It's not an election, but get on with it. You know, so if you're going to do it, you've got to do it.
No country has ever left the EU before, and England's 300-year union with Scotland could also end as people in Scotland voted to remain in the EU. And it's been a project nearly a decade in the making. Now the Panama Canal is opening its gates to big cargo ships. The canal can now handle twice as much cargo, allowing huge vessels like this one to roll through. That's actually a crane. But in the meantime, cruise lines are also planning to use the new channel as early as next year. The 102-year-old passageway provides a 50-mile shortcut between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Well, did you hit the movies this weekend? You either wanted to know a little bit more about Dory or watch the sequel of Independence Day. We'll reveal who came out on top in this weekend's box office.
And our weather is sunny, but it is very hot, and it's going to stick around for a while. I'll have your forecast next.
And it's hot and dry here, but a much different story in West Virginia, where the state is prepping for more heavy rain tomorrow following devastating floods. The flood waters are going down, but communities are still feeling the losses. 24 people have died in the state since flooding began on Thursday, and others, like Crystal Critchley, lost everything.
Went from ankles to up past our knees in like a matter of 15 minutes.
So what do you do from here?
I keep asking myself that.
Some homeowners are going through their waterlogged things now, and emergency responders are just looking for missing people still. And Harry, you were mentioning it wasn't that many years ago we had similar flood issues.
That's true. I mean, your hearts can't help but go out to those people for the loss that they've experienced. I think it was 97, 98 when we had over 7 inches of rain in Roseville. In West Virginia, they had over 9 inches of rain. It's really a pretty substantial amount of water. And of course, I remember seeing on the streets of Roseville a car just floating down the street. It was just amazing. It's amazing how powerful the weather can be. Right now, the power we're talking about is heat. It is dry and it is hot, and the temperature is 102 degrees in Sacramento. We have hardly a breath of air, 6 miles an hour, and the humidity is 15%. It also means our fire danger remains high. Our low tomorrow morning will be about 63. We'll be in the 90s by noon and 104 tomorrow afternoon. And if that's not hot enough, just wait a second. I'll show you the extended forecast. Here are the temperatures all up and down the valley. In the low 100s, as you can see, 101 in Oroville, upwards to 103 in Modesto, 90s up in the foothills. Sonora's almost 100 at 99. Lake Tahoe's 81. That's one place you can go. Tahoe, Truckee, the temperatures will be in the 80s mostly this week. And along the coast, 67 in San Francisco. So about an hour and a half away, you can get away from the hot weather. Winds, as I mentioned, are light in the Sacramento Valley, a little bit breezy in the San Joaquin, as you can see. About 17-mile-an-hour wind over in Fairfield, but not enough oomph to that push of cooler air inland to lessen this heat wave. Our heat wave is going to stick around here for a few days, and it's really hitting the southwest, as you can see. Las Vegas will be 112, Phoenix will be 109, Southern California deserts temperatures will be up around 110 or hotter, and we're going to be 104 tomorrow, and it's going to stay through at least Wednesday, I think. Now, some cooling thoughts here. Whether you're a dog or you feel like a dog because of the heat wave, head out to the Folsom Lake or the river. Just be careful out there, but it's nice and cool. That's a nice way to cool off. And here is a cooling thought as well. I brought up this picture from Emerald Bay, sent in a while back, and doesn't that look lovely as well? If you've ever swum, and I have gone swimming in Emerald Bay, it's really, really cold. But you know, when it's hot out there, you have to think of alternatives to keep yourself comfortable. Now, if you have got a great picture to send in to us, send it into weatherforce@abc10.com. We'd love to show your picture on the air. Satellite picture shows some stormy weather down over the southwest, as you can see, reaching out over towards Oklahoma and into Missouri with some heavy rain showers over there. We've got a system up here, but high pressure in the west, and the hot weather is going to continue. Let's take a look at your forecast, starting with the foothills, where we expect to see temperatures in the 90s and low 100s, 80s at Lake Tahoe, 80s all week long at Lake Tahoe. Along the coast, the temperatures will be cooler, as you can see, but then as you come inland, it gets hot once again. Temperatures well above 100 in the San Joaquin Valley. Look at this next picture. That's hot. 103, 104, 106 in Woodland tomorrow, 105 in Davis. It's just going to be plain hot, and it's going to stay that way through about Wednesday. Then we get a little bit of relief after that.
All right, we'll take that relief.
Okay.
Thanks, Harry. Comedian Stephen Colbert once called it one of our holiest weeks. Shark Week is back. A little history about how it became a pop culture hit. But first, what's ahead on World News Tonight?
Emily, good evening. Coming up on World News Tonight, panic at the amusement park, a roller coaster ride flying off the rails and crashing to the ground. Plus, we're also following those stabbings at that protest involving white supremacists right there in Sacramento. And the stunning new ABC News poll, Donald Trump responding tonight. That's after ABC 10 News at 5.
A look at what's trending now at the movies this weekend. Finding Dory, a popular choice. The sequel to Finding Nemo won its second weekend in a row at the box office. The film earned $73.2 million, and that sunk Independence Day Resurgence, the sequel to the 1996 alien apocalypse blockbuster, got a big thumbs down from critics and moviegoers. It earned $41.6 million. And as we wrap up ABC 10 News at 5, Shark Week. It is finally here. Comedian Stephen Colbert once called it one of our holiest weeks. The marathon started about 30 minutes ago on the Discovery Channel, and it runs through next Sunday, so you have time to catch it. Don't leave us just yet. The first Shark Week premiered in 1988 as a lesson about sharks, but it, of course, has turned into more entertainment-based shows since. Another big TV show tonight, the season finale of Game of Thrones. So while it is so hot outside, we have
all those shows to watch.
Tons of TV and movies we can check out.
And now that I saw Shark Week, I know what happened to Dory. No, hopefully not.
Ouch.
I've lost Dory too now.
And Harry, it is going to be hot this week.
It is going to be hot this week. For the next 3-4 days, it's going to be well above 100 degrees. It's going to be like an oven.
All right. Thanks for joining us tonight for ABC 10 News at 5. We're back at 6.